friendship day. When we say it's a friendship day, and the two biggest friends of BCSE, the founder members, our president Nihar Jambusaria sir and Durgesh Kabra sir, both are present on this occasion. And one more friend today we have added is Central Council member G. Shekhar sir. Welcome everyone, sir. Being a friendship day, so we requested Nihar sir. So sir, everyone was very worried about your health because last month Nihar sir was not well. He was hospitalized, and everyone always used to inquire that how is Nihar bhai, because we, sir Shekhar sir, we always say our Nihar bhai because he is from our study circle. So today we have himself, Nihar sir. I just told him yesterday, sir, your two words will be very inspiring for all the members who are really worried for your health. And when they will see you, really they will get delighted. So not making much time, over to you, Nihar sir. Nihar sir, please.
Thank you. Good morning, everybody. Today's speaker and council members, G. Shekhar, our own council members, Durgesh Kabra, the convener and deputy convener of the study circle, Nilesh and uh, Pradeep, and the other friends who I can see on the screen is Sharad, Deepen, Vijay, and all the members who are attending. So at the outset, wish you all a very happy Friendship Day. Perhaps if everything was open and had this meeting been conducted in Bhatiyawadi, we would have physically wished each other Friendship Day by tying the friendship tag. Uh, Nilesh has very tactfully indicated to me that speak two words. So be brief, and I will do that. Today, a very good friend with whom I entered the council in the year 2013, G. Shekhar, and who I have seen contributing effectively all these years, is here to address us on multidisciplinary partnership, which is his own baby. These guidelines were developed by him, and ideally soon after the MCA indicated to us on 1st July, our CA day, that your MDP rules are approved. And ideally on the same day, we should have released the guidelines. But somehow we thought, let us once again have one check, because these guidelines were prepared some time back. And after that, code of ethics were revised. So we thought, let us once again have a check on code of ethics. And if some change is required, let us carry out and then notify. So very quickly, the guidelines will be notified, but today you can take them as notified only. And Sekharji will deal with every nitty-gritty and every aspect of it. And you may have several doubts as to how to make it effective, how to use it, and in certain situations, what would be the solution. So he has got answers to everything. You may freely ask questions. And I may say that you may make this session interactive rather than a monologue by the speaker. The reason is that at the Institute, we desire that our members use the new networking guidelines and the MDP guidelines, the MDP rules effectively for the purpose of their practice. And a dream that we had seen, and also the Prime Minister indicated, that we should have big Indian firms in a short period of time. And by 2024, they were expecting we should have at least 100 big Indian firms. I think if you effectively use these networking guidelines and MDP to your advantage, we will have big Indian firms very fast. And for the growth in size of the Indian firms, I think this is a very good tool. And once it is officially allowed, one has no apprehension as to whether I can have engineer as partner or architect as partner. You can do it freely, and the ground rules are very much available, which Sekharji will deal with. We also have Durgesh ji with us, and we have the liberty of calling each other by name, and that is how when you are at study circle, you feel you are at home. So one very important assignment that he is handling is Center for Audit Quality, and he has come out this year with audit quality maturity model. Uh, at some other point of time, we may have full session on AQMM, that is audit quality maturity model. But these are the tools which are developed to ensure that we deliver quality audit. I'll take a minute more to explain this. You know that there are two gaps prevailing in terms of audit quality. One is expectation gap of the society, and another is performance gap. And what is this expectation gap? One can explain in a line that the scope of audit is limited. We are supposed to give reasonable assurance. But when the society starts expecting that we must detect every fraud and be an investigator, that is called expectation gap. To bridge this gap, the institute is doing everything to educate even the agencies like PFIO, EOW, those who are the investigators, what is the actual role of chartered accountants, so that they ensure that they don't trouble auditors unnecessarily. Wherever their role is involved, it is okay, but wherever it is not there, they should not be troubled. This is called expectation gap. And another is performance gap, where actually our members do not perform to the extent required by the audit quality standards. And there the institute arranges frequent seminars, webinars, and training sessions where knowledge on accounting standards, auditing standards, code of ethics is imparted. And for code of ethics, you are aware that 2 hours are made mandatory out of 20 that a member has to undertake during the year. And this is the effort of the institute to ensure that our members perform to the expectation of the institute and the society. So these are the two gaps that we have to remove. Institute will do its best to remove the expectation gap. The members have to do their best to remove the performance gap, and we ensure that the quality of audit that we deliver is the best. For that purpose, last year the Center for Audit Quality was set up, and this center is taking steps after steps. And one of the other committees is also engaged in getting audit tools for the members. So during this year, we expect that we give audit tools to members. It may be at some nominal cost or free of cost, but we will try to see that every member doing audit possesses the audit tool and he can use it for the purpose of ensuring the audit quality. So these were some of the developments. 2, 3 other points which I would mention in half a minute is that you may focus if you want to expand the horizon of your practice in MSME sector, where a number of new reliefs and packages are there, and the institute has started many certificate courses to train our members. For the benefit of general members of the public, the institute this year has started one drive, and that is finance and tax literacy drive. 3 days back, there was an awareness session by the group which was formed for finance and tax literacy. At some other point of time, we may have a session of 1 hour to introduce this subject to the study circle. And I am sure that with our strength, which is much more than a strength of a branch, we can spread this message among the society and do our best for the benefit of the country and economy. And you will appreciate our interest lies in the growth of country and economy. Our interest doesn't lie in economy falling. So we are the contributors to the economy, and we should be contributors for the growth of our profession too. So with these words, there are many things to share always, but let us at some later stage have one session of half an hour or 1 hour where I can also take up all the initiatives of the institute and let you know what is in the pipeline and what is going on. One question that members always ask is, when will the audit fee for bank audits be increased? We are constantly in touch with RBI, and they have promised they will do it very fast. And we are trying to get substantial increase because it is overdue for a period of more than 8 years. So let us do our best, and you may expect it will come anytime. So with this, I thank Nilesh, who called yesterday and said that when a council member is coming, if you are there, it is better. And particularly, there are apprehensions about my health. And I may just say that I'm perfectly all right now. It was a phase which created some turbulence in my performance for a week, but now I'm perfectly all right. And once again, wishing you a very happy Friendship Day. Let us hope we'll meet very soon when things open up. Thank you so much. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Nihar sir, for your kind words. And after coming to from this health, you delivered us the speech for so many minutes. Thank you very much for that, sir. Before I hand over the charge to Sharath Bhai, being the chair of this session, only one announcement. I think members will be knowing. Now, our institute elections has been scheduled on 3rd and 4th December. Only one request to all the members that before 16th, this time we have an option to anywhere voting in Mumbai. So there are 5 to 7 centers in Mumbai. And if anyone wants to vote, maybe your address is Churchgate and you want to vote at Borivali, you can just write 2 lines to the institute that, sir, I would like to vote on so-and-so address. Then you will get that facility. So this anytime, anywhere voting has been started. The last date to opt for this is on 16th of August. Before 16th of August, you have to send a letter to the institute that you want to change your polling booth. So members are requested to take a benefit of this option. Now over to you, Sharath Bhai, the chair of the session today.
Yeah, good morning, everyone. Thank you, Nilesh. At the outset, let me thank Nihar Bhai, President of ICI, as well as our own member, for sparing his valuable time in spite of his health and other busy schedule. Thanks a lot, Nihar Bhai. Friends, we have with us Mr. G. Sekar, and the topic which is allotted to him is multidisciplinary partnership. And we could not have any better person other than Mr. Sekar, who was a convener of the group of the person who represented as well as who helped institute to frame these guidelines. So we'll hear from horse's mouth, and we are very thankful to Durgesh ji for requesting him and bringing him to our platform. We welcome Mr. Sekar, sir. On behalf of BCSE, I know you will be carrying us to various questions or issues which may come up because of MDP, mainly what are the various permissible modes of practice, how partnership deed is required to be modified, what will be the impact of on the various audits being conducted by our firm. And we have got Durgesh ji, who can be the best fit person to introduce our sitting central council member, G. Sekar. Our Durgesh ji is also sitting central council member. Welcome, sir, as a central council member as well as member. And I'll request Durgesh ji to formally introduce Mr. G. Sekar. Durgesh ji, please.
Thank you, Sharath Bhai. It's indeed a pleasure to be part of this webinar and this study circle where we are getting this opportunity to be part on the 1st August, which is the Friendship Day. So first of all, let me wish all of you the very happy Friendship Day. Respected Nihar Bhai, the president of our institute, the senior central council member, G. Sekar ji, and all my colleagues and core committee members, convener and deputy convener Nilesh and Pradeep. It's indeed a pleasure to be part of this, and especially introducing G. Sekar sir. But before that, let me tell you, it is prayer of everybody, and it is the determination of Nihar Bhai which has cured him, and he is well now. And we were thinking, and in spite of having so much of pressure, let me tell you, every day, even from the hospital, he was looking after the work of the ICAI, and he was attending the meeting from the hospital itself. So it is his dedication and motivates us, encourage us that how we should work for the institute. So friends, under his leadership, the institute is doing wonderfully well. Some of the new initiatives have been started, which he has spoken, and which I do not want to repeat, but let me tell you, everything is moving very smoothly. As far as G. Shekhar sir is concerned, G. Shekhar sir is a very learned person and Central Council member since 2013. As Nearby has said that he has entered, both have entered together into the council, and since then they are there, and we are getting guidance from G. Shekhar sir. Friends, he is the member of the Consultative Advisory Group of the International Accounting Education Standard Board, of also of International Federation of Accountants for 2017 to 19. He's a board member of Airport Authority of India from 2019 to 2022. He's ex officio member of National Financial Reporting Authority, better known as NAFRA, for 19 to 22. He is also member of MCA committee to review Company Auditors Report Order Caro 2016, 2019 to 20. He is presently the chairman of AASB, Auditing and Assurance Standard Board. He is the chairman of IND-AS Implementation Committee too. He is vice chairman of Expert Advisory Committee and vice chairman of Committee on International Taxation. Beside this, he is the presiding officer of Board of Discipline Bench 2 in 2018 and 19. And he was chairman of at least another 10 major committees of the institute during his tenure of 9th year. This is 9th year during his tenure of past 8 years, including chairmanship of Professional Development Committee, Management Accounting Committee, Professional Accountants in Business and Industry, Committee for Financial Market and Investor Protections. He was also vice chairman of the Audit Committee and Capacity Building Committee for members in practice. He was the vice chair of the Direct Tax Committee. He was chairman also of the Direct Tax Committee and so on. Beside that, almost majority of the committee, he had been the member during past 9 years, and he has served to all the committees. He is a great motivator to the chartered accountants in practice and in employment, and also to the CS student. He is founder, partner of G. Shekhar and Associate, and is practicing chartered accountant since 1986. He is founder and faculty for the Direct Tax in Sri Guru Kripa Institute of the Management. An institution provides education for all levels of all the subject of chartered accountancy course. Friends, he's a commerce graduate. There is no need to say, but commerce graduate with gold medal is important. Because he is already a chartered accountant, so narrating that he is a commerce graduate doesn't require any introduction, but he is a gold medalist and rank holder. He is also member of the expert study group committee of the Central Board of Direct Taxes. He was member of the Direct Tax Law Committee of the Institute. And there are many other things which can be spoken. And beside, let me tell you, he is very good human being, very religious and a spiritual person. If you ask him to speak any mantras and chant any mantras, he will tell you for which problem, which mantra you should follow and which mantra you should recite, which will help you to overcome the problem. He is also a member of the Society of Auditors in Chennai, Chartered Accountants Society, Study Circle of Chennai, and Bombay Chartered Accountants Society, and so other things. And he has authored many books, let me tell you, many books, especially with respect to the tax and especially with respect to the tax. And he has also authored around 33 books for the CS students, let me tell you, for the chartered accountants, most probably on the tax subject. for the students, 33 books for various subjects. So this is what is the introduction, which I thought I must tell all of you. And I request all of you to welcome him with a round of applause. And also G. Shekhar sir, we have the system of presenting you the virtual memento. So we have shown this on the screen, and on behalf of you, we will be sending 500 rupees to the CABF, whoever comes as the faculty or as the speakers to this study circle. On behalf of him, we send 500 to the CABF. So that will be done. Thank you very much. And over to Sharad Bhai and for the further proceedings.
Thank you, Durgesh, for this pleasant task. Now, I request Mr. G. Shekhar to take over the session and present his.
Shekhar sir, I will be leaving in between because I have my own session also at one of the study circle. So
no problem, sir.
Welcome.
Thank you. Thank you for excellent introduction.
Pradeep, please propose just to 1 minute, propose a very hearty vote of thanks to CCM and President, sir.
Thank you very much, Nilesh.
Well,
it is our indeed a great pleasure for our study circle that two stalwarts of our study circle, the president sir Niyar Bhai and Durgesh Bhai, are here with us. They have spent their time for a very quality time, and they have given us details what are the happening at the institute. We thank you, sir, for accepting our invitation and being with us. Thank you very much, sir. We are honored by your presence. Thank you, sir.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you.
Yes, sir. Shekhar sir, all yours.
Shekhar sir, yeah, platform
Okay.
is yours.
Sir, you are able to see the screen?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Go ahead, please.
My voice are clear?
Yeah, very much.
very much.
Very much.
Loud and clear, sir.
Convener of the Borivali Study Circle, Nilesh Ji, Deputy Convener Pradeep, Chairman of the session, Sharad Ji, our Honorable President of the Institute, Nigar Jambusaria Ji, my council colleague, Durgesh Kabra Ji, all others, senior professional colleagues and young members. On the occasion of this Friends Day, I shall be grateful to everyone and the committee of this study circle. Gave me a great opportunity to interact with you on the most recent issue, just 23 days old, 8th of July, it has been notified, the multidisciplinary partnership firms. Dear members, it is not a recent topic or recent issue. In the multidisciplinary partnership as a goal, what we have done in the last 2 years to make it successful is here, like a relay race, the person running on the last end. So we have completed the last end. The original history started in 2006. In 2006, there was a big amendment, not only in Chartered Accountant Act and other sister institute acts also, Cost and Work Accountants Act, Company Secretaries Act. There was a very major amendment. What is the major amendment? Up to 16/11/2006, Chartered accountant can share fees only with a chartered accountant. Chartered accountant can enter partnership with only with a chartered accountant. Same thing with the cost accountancy profession and company secretary profession. They can enter partnership with only with themselves. They can share their fees only with themselves. Like that, restriction of profession is there. But in 2006, the Amendment Act, that is CA Amendment Act or Cost Accountancy Institute Amendment Act or Company Secretaries Amendment Act, the professional ethics Schedule 1, Part 1, Class 2, 3, 4. I am taking all the three. 2, 3, 4. 2 starts about sharing the fees. 3 starts about taking share from the fees. The 4 talks about partnership. All these 3 professional ethics schedule has been amended, and they inserted the word they can share with the fees of the members of the prescribed qualification or members of the prescribed institute, either give share or take share. Similarly, they can be the partner with the members of the prescribed professional qualification institute. These amendments came with effect from 17/11/2006, and all the 3 clauses had the words prescribed professional qualification or prescribed professional qualification of the members of the institution. But it has taken almost 2 years to prescribe the qualification. The government prescribed the qualification in Regulation 53A for sharing the fees, that is for Class 2 and 3, and 53B by amendment to Chartered Accountant Regulation, inserting 2 Regulation 53A and 53B, which came into effect on 25/9/2008. Immediately, some people filed form to the institute. Please register our firm as a multidisciplinary partnership firm. Institute said only the professional ethics area is amended. The main section which gives right to practice, that is not yet amended. In 2012, by the amendment in Chartered Accountants Act 2011, with effect from 1/2/2012, the main section also amended. Even after that, we are not able to register a multidisciplinary partnership firm because Institute said the main form of admission of a partner, Form 18, is not yet amended by the MCA. So unless it is amended, the whole process is not completed. So in 2019, July, the immediate past president, in consultation with the present president, who is the past vice president at that point of time, Mr. Nigarji, formed a group and appointed me as the convener of the group. We analyzed all the provisions, Chartered Accountant Acts, its regulation, Company Secretaries Act in regulation, Cost Accountant Acts in regulation, Architect Act and its bylaws, Actuaries Act and its regulation, the Charter of Indian Institute of Engineers notified in 1935, University Grant Commission Act, Advocate Act, Bar Council rules. All these areas we analyzed and submitted the report that if the Form 18 is amended, then there is no more hurdle, no more bottleneck, no more speed breaker to register a multidisciplinary partnership firm. The council started its discussion in 394th meeting From that up to 397th meeting, almost to 12 to 14 hours we had a thorough and detailed discussion. After the thorough and detailed discussion, the council accepted the report of the group and recommended to the government for amending Form 18 as well as on its own, which is council power, to amend Form 117, that is already amended for name clearance. And Form 18 recommendation went to the government. Government notified the draft form on December 10th, 2020 for public comments with its guidelines and FAQs. And the government got the feedback, public comments, only one, practically two. In my opinion, it is only one public comments received from the Institute of Cost Accountants of India in their official capacity. And that time, president of the institute, in his personal capacity also, the same point he repeated. Other than that, there is no comment was received by the institute in that 45 days. Then we submitted our reply to the comments of the ICWA Institute. After that submission, MCA cleared Form 18 on 1st of July on this Chartered Accountants Day, as rightly said by our President Nigarji. Even though the guidelines as well as the FAQs are approved by the council in its earlier meetings, as rightly said by the President, we analyzed whether any question related to Ethical Standard Board also to be answered. The Ethical Standard Board also had the meeting and all the queries of the Ethical Standard Board has been clarified. We are waiting to notify the guideline as well as the FAQs. But as a chartered accountant, in my opinion, the guideline and FAQs are only explanatory statement to the act and regulation. It does not have anything about the act and regulation. It is only a guide or clarificatory document for the MDP firms. It has no statutory requirements. It is only a supportive material for this MDP firm. But today, whatever I discuss with you on the basis of the discussion we had in the council at the time of approving these guidelines and FAQs and approving the Form 18. Whatever the guidelines which is going to be notified is the guidelines for formation of multidisciplinary partnership firm. According to me, the guidelines will take effect from 8/11, not the date what the council going to say. It is 8/11 because the form is notified. From that day, the multidisciplinary firms are coming into operation. Even today, anybody is filing the application for MDP firm, it has to be accepted. It has to be registered as per the present act, regulation, and the form notified thereunder. In that act means Chartered Accountant Act, regulation means Chartered Accountant Regulation, MDP firm means as prescribed under Regulation 53B, read with Regulation 190. 190 is the registration of firms, etc. All the words and expression herein not defined in this guideline, then what is defined in the act and regulation apply? It means whatever applicable for normal chartered accountancy firm where there is exclusively only the chartered accountant in practice or members, the same will applicable for MDP firm also. So that is most important. The objective of the guidelines to guide the chartered accountant in practice how to enter partnership with the members of other prescribed professional bodies as prescribed under Regulation 53B. Dear members, I'm going back to the little history. What is the amendment which has taken place in 2012? Up to 2012, in section 2.2. Dear members, here I would like to brush up our knowledge. Because God has given an opportunity to go through nearly 6 acts, I told. After reading the 6 Act, Chartered Accountant Act, Cost Accountant Act, Company Secretary Act, Architect Act, Actuaries Act, after going through this act, all the acts, section 2.2 prescribe what is the member in practice. And almost every act is, in my opinion, they taken from the Chartered Accountant Acts because our act is formed in 1949 as a parent act. In this Chartered Accountants Act, the first 4 lines are there up to 31/1/2012. A member of the institute shall be deemed to be in practice when individually or partnership with the chartered accountant in practice. The next 3 line is not there. That is the reason, even though amendment came in 2006, up to 2012, institute not in a position to take any step, because this section only gives how a member shall practice. So in this section, they brought an amendment in partnership with the members of such other recognized profession as may be prescribed. Dear members, here I would like to share one important thing with you. Without this amendment, from 2006, because of the regulation, 53A, I'm going to share the 53A, this regulation, which is mainly for clause 2 and clause 3. Because considering the time, I'm not going through the clause 2 of the clause 3 of the schedule 1 and part 1 of the Chartered Accountants Act. Clause 2 talks about sharing the fees, and clause 3 talk about taking share of the fees. Since 2006, 17/11/2006 onwards, a chartered accountant can share the fees with a company secretary, share as even as a fixed percentage, can share a fees with the members of the Institute of Cost Accountants of India, members of the Bar Council of India, the Indian Institute of Architects, the Indian Institute of Actuaries, with these members. In addition to that, here I would like to invite your attention, members of the prescribed qualification, company secretary, cost accountant, actuary, bachelor in engineering, bachelor in technology of the university established by law or institution, because IIT to cover IIT, bachelor in architecture of any university, bachelor in law, master in business administration. Why I am stressing these words, dear members, I would like to expect you to go through clause 2 mainly. What is clause 2? Pays or allows, agrees to pay, allow directly or indirectly any share, commission or brokerage in fees or profits of his professional business to any person other than a member of institute, or a partner or retired partner, or a legal representative of a deceased partner, or a member of any other professional body, or any member of professional body prescribed under regulation 53A(1), or with such other person having such a qualification as may be prescribed. Such other person, such other qualification may be prescribed. That is 53A(3). They have given 8 prescribed qualification, including MBA, including IITians, including bachelor in law from a university. Here they are not mentioning member of a bar council, bachelor in law from university. Same thing in clause 3, taking a share. Same in clause 3, accept or agree to accept, including prescribed qualification. But what I would like to distinguish, in clause 4 of our professional ethics, section 2 permits I can enter into a partnership with any prescribed members of any prescribed qualification of the institution. Enters into a partnership in or outside India with any person other than a chartered accountant in practice, or such other person who is a member of any other professional body. Very important. Member of any other professional body having such qualification as may be prescribed. Member of any other professional body. Even if you read section 2.2, partnership with the members of such a recognized profession as may be prescribed. But 53A clause 3, even though it permits for 4, it prescribed only qualification. It does not prescribe members of the body. It prescribed only qualification. It does not prescribe the members of the body. But 53B only prescribe the members of the body following professional bodies. So even though 8 qualifications are there in 53A3, as on date, 53B only effective, because the section 2.2 along with the professional ethics clause 4 of schedule 1 of part 1, if we read combined together, I can apply presently 53B only, 53A3, even though having clause 4, I cannot apply unless there is a proper amendment in section 2.2 as well as section clause 4. Because they talk about members of the professional body, does not talk about prescribed qualification as there in clause 2 and clause 3. Clause 2 and clause 3, they are having members of professional body or qualification of such prescribed. That words are missing in section 2.2 as well as clause 4. So, as on date, the council decided finally, we can permit only for the qualification of the members prescribed under regulation 53B. But here, interesting point. Even though the council accepted that whomsoever permitted under regulation 53B, member of Company Secretary Institute, member of Cost Accountant Institute, advocate, member of Bar Council. See, 53A, 3 clause says, degree, bachelor degree in law from an university. But here, advocate, member of Bar Council, engineer, member, institution of engineers, or engineer from a recognized university, architect under Indian Institute of Architect, or actuary under the Indian Institute of Actuary. These are the 6 prescribed qualifications permitted by the Act. Permitted by the Act. But when the institute at that point of time of preparing our code of ethics, if anybody thoroughly go through the code of ethics, we are having a separate paragraph 2.14. In our code of ethics, we mentioned with the regulation permitted under section 53B, you can enter into a partnership. But for forming a partnership, if the guidelines, if the act and regulation of the other act also permit, then only you can enter into a partnership. Our code of ethics very clear. If the other acts also permit, then only my regulation also they can do it. What is the reason, council, when they prescribe code of ethics, when they prescribe these guidelines, taken the decision? Because we are having 2 things in our Chartered Accountants Act, Schedule 1. Schedule 1, Part 4. One of the clause in Part 4, in the opinion of the council, any member bring disrepute to the profession. What is meant by disrepute to the profession? The members are considered as an esteemed person in the society because in 130 crore population, we are less than 3.5 lakhs. And out of all the countries, we are the single largest chartered accountants body. See, even though in outside world, we are the second largest body. But the day I joined the council as G. Shekhar, wherever I speak, I will tell I am the single largest statutory body. No other person is the largest statutory body. CPA may be having number of chartered accountants more than ICI. It is only a society registered under Society Registration Act of that country, but not the largest statutory body under the Act of Parliament of that country. So I am requesting every member, whenever you speak, wherever you speak in the world, speak, I am the single largest statutory body, which is under the law of a particular government. So if I done some work contrary to the provision of other law, even in our disciplinary committee, if a chartered accountant professional bounds the check, we are punishing him under our disciplinary proceeding. Section 138 Negotiable Instrument Act proceeding has been taken for insufficiency of funds. The council is punishing those persons because you are brought a disrepute to the profession. So we learned the word disrepute to the profession. My act permits, my regulation permits, but parallelly other act does not permit, other regulation does not permit. That means knowingly as an educated professional, I am doing something contrary to them. I am doing something contrary to their act, which is not permissible. So we said in our ethics, unless the other regulation permit, act permit, we will not permit. But in social media, I have seen. The two sister professional institutes issued an advisory. Until there is a guideline from them, they should not enter into a partnership. Two sister institutes, Cost Accountancy Institute and Company Secretary Institute. In my honest, humble opinion, with a great respect to the council of those institutes, they also subsequently discussed with me, Cost Accountancy Institute, one government nominee and two sitting council member. We had a meeting, they had a meeting with me under the guidance of MCA. They in principle orally accepted that their advisory is not legally valid. Even in my humble, honest opinion, their advisory is, I won't say 100% legally valid, limited extent legally valid, but for us as a chartered accountant, it is not legally valid. If I'm going to register the firm with the ICI, I'm going to explain all these concepts. I'm taking the basic principle, what Institute Council decided, we can permit only the prescribed members because Section 2.2 and Professional Ethics Clause 4. Both says members of the prescribed qualification of the institution, these 6 institutions, we started analyzing, keeping our professional ethics in our mind, and part 4 of the professional ethics in Schedule 1 in our mind. We should not bring disrepute to our profession. We analyzed. First, we analyzed the Company Secretary Institute law. There, Section 2.2, which is giving power for a company secretary to practice, prescribe, or in partnership with members of such other recognized profession. How ICA Act is having the words, similar words they are having. So my first hurdle is clear. ICA Act permit, Company Secretaries Act permit. But whether myself is prescribed, before that I'm seeing their professional ethics. Their clause 4. In that clause 4 also, they are having, similar to me, member of any other professional body having such qualification as may be prescribed. Thank God. For a company secretary, if he is willing to join with me, their act permits, their regulation, their professional ethics permits. Now I have to verify whether I am the prescribed person in their regulation. So I verified their regulations. Their regulation 168B, similar to our 53B, having a name, members of the Institute of Chartered Accountants of India. So any company secretary want to join a chartered accountant firm, and if the firm is going to register with ICI, dear learned members sitting here, my dear learned members sitting here, the MDP firm as per the law need not necessarily to be registered in all the three institutes. Nowhere prescribed in the Act, nowhere prescribed in the respective regulations. Any one institute you can register, it is firm choice, collectively. Who are the partners in the firm? Their firm choice. They can either go for ICI, or they can go for ICOI, or they can go for ICSI, their choice. Suppose they want to register unanimously, the partners unanimously decided to register with ICI, whatever the advisory issued by ICSI Council as on date will not bind on anybody, including their own member. But they cannot as on day register with ICSI for a simple reason, they have not yet amended their form. Admission form, they have not yet amended, like similar to our forming. But if their member want to join with me, it has to be registered with ICAI. No disciplinary proceeding on that ICSI member. Their act permits, their professional ethics permits, their regulation permits. And if they said I issued an advisory, it is ultra vires the provisions of their own act, regulation, and their own ethics, which is not binding on the member who joined with the chartered accountant, which is going to be registered with ICI. That's the reason their advisory is ultra-wise the provisions of the Act to that extent if it is registered with ICI. With them, as on date, they cannot register because they have come on the form. Now, that is the reason ICI taken a decision. Their act permits, my act permit, their regulation permit, my regulation permit, their professional ethics permit, my professional ethics permits. Anybody willing to join in an ICA firm, chartered accountants firm, we are welcoming with your red carpet. Come and join. We don't have any reservation. Partnership with caste accountant, almost a Xerox copy. Same section 2.2. Same prescribed qualification with the members. Same professional ethics, members of the having such prescribed qualification. Only regulation number differ, 111C, chartered accountant member. See, almost act, these three act regulation, except few sections, almost Xerox copy, copied and pasted from ICA Act and ICA regulation. Even the ICAA advisory, as on date, if any cost accountant willing to join, with a chartered accountancy firm, which is going to be registered with Institute of Chartered Accountants of India, legally valid, if their advisory is also concerned, they issued an advisory contravening their own provision of law, act, and other things. Immediately after the advisory, I spoken to one of the joint secretary who is coordinating with me on this issue, mainly from the day one, because only on their advice we started working. They immediately asked me to contact with the other professionals. That is the reason ICW Institute called on me with their 3 council members. I clarified. That's the reason they issued the guidelines, draft guidelines. So as on date, joining these 2 professionals, no problem. The third prescribed category is an advocate. But what happened in Bar Council rules, Rule 2, Chapter 3 of Part 4, an advocate shall not enter into a partnership of any other arrangement. Partnership of any other arrangement, why they use the word? Because if you go and read the Partnership Act, partnership means any agreement or arrangement. Because oral partnership also permitted under the Partnership Act. That's the reason here they use the word partnership of any other arrangement for sharing remuneration with any person or legal practitioner who is not an advocate. So ICAI said, their regulation or rule does not permit. That means if I, even though my regulation permit, their regulation does not permit, if I allow it, my member indirectly am permitting to do some act which is contrary to some other law. So let me prohibit. You cannot enter into a partnership. Yeah, advocate. But very interesting, member. Very, very interesting. Keep an advocate outside the firm, share the fees, regulation 53A permit. Keep an advocate outside the firm who is not even advocate or member of a bar council, only having law degree, and regulation 53A3, you can share the fees, no problem. So choice is yours, but you cannot admit him as a partner. Next is partnership engineer. If you read the regulation, it gives the members of the Indian Institute of Engineers. Indian Institute of Engineers, everyone knows, is a body established in Kolkata, even in Delhi, next to our institute, their office. Formed under the Charter of Engineers 1935, even before our Chartered Accountants Act. Their examinations are equally as tough as Chartered Accountancy. Under their regulation, anybody is permitted as a member. Clause 48 permits who shall be the member. With them, Chartered Accountant can enter partnership. Or member of an university, that is a bachelor in law from an university. So university, under the University Grant Commission Act, it may be a central university or state university or a deemed university. What are the universities recognized? We have to go to the UGC website, find out whether the person is having a valid engineering degree from them. Then you can permit it. In my honest and humble opinion, if you want to take an engineer as a partner, check whether he is having value addition, whether he is having approved valuer certificate under the Companies Act, under Income Tax Act, under Wealth Tax Law, or any other law required. Then it is a highest value addition, including ESA, CISA, System Analysis, Cyber Security Certificate, because it will be more helpful for a chartered accountancy when you are taking an engineer. Partnership with architect. Architect, even though the law talk about Indian Institute of Architect and Architect Act, but the Indian Institute of Architect is formed under Society Registration Act, subsequently recognized in Architect Act. Their clause 4 define who shall be the member under their bylaw. That member may be a fellow member or associate member or licensed member, even honorary member. So ICAI permit, if he is a member of the Institute of Architect, you can enter into a partnership with us. Partnership with actuary. Dear members, if you read the Actuaries Act, it defines who is an actuary. It defines with whom you can actuary. Here they say how our law was there prior to 2012, how Chartered Accountant Acts were there prior to 1/2/2012. Same manner, still it is there. They are permitting partnership with only actuaries in practice. their professional ethics also similar to us, as on date permit only with the actuaries in practice. So ICA has taken a decision. MDPCAs in practice shall be permitted to enter a partnership with a member of the Actuary Institute if he is not holding certificate of practice. If he is holding certificate of practice, I cannot permit, because member means like our CA Institute with certificate of practice, without holding certificate of practice. But their act prohibits, if a member is having certificate of practice, enter into a partnership only with them. Not holding certificate of practice, there is no prohibition in their law. But in our regulation and law, they use the word only member of Actuaries Act. Member of Actuaries Act also holding, not holding certificate of practice. But in what way he will be supportive to you without holding certificate of practice? That is the firm who is going to admit an actuary. They have to evaluate and decide. In all these things, ICA is not the institution, go and jump and give, this is beneficial, that is beneficial, like that. So we said, if he is holding certificate of member certificate, you can permit as per their law also, we can also permit. But holding certificate of practice, their act prohibits, I am also not permitting. Members of other professional body. As on date, these 6 professional bodies only permitted, out of which ICAI, after analyzing all its professional ethics and other things, we permitted only 4. Advocate prohibited, actuaries not having certificate of practice, actuaries having certificate of practice is prohibited. So we are not permitting. Other than these 4, cost accountant, company secretary, engineer, architect, actuary limited manner. We are not permitting any other profession because they are not prescribed under regulation 53P. What form? Similar to normal chartered accountants, either it can be under Partnership Act 1932 or an LLP. Both are recognized under Chartered Accountants Act. No problem. Registration with the institute. Name clearance form. Same form number 107. It is already amended. And application for registration, form 18, you can submit to admission of the partner, and whatever the condition will apply for normal firm will also apply here. Here, chartered accountant, no problem. ICA is having all KYC norms of the members, they can verify. If he's a cost accountant or company secretary or engineer or architect, how to verify? So ICA discussed in the council. Somebody has to verify and certify. Council unanimously decided. When we decided whether we can permit cost accountant or company secretary also to certify, then members we decided, because this is the objection raised by ICW Institute mainly. Here we are telling, in case of the partner who is not a chartered accountant, their document shall be certified, copies of the document shall be certified by a chartered accountant in practice who is not the partner. ICW Institute said, why not it is cost accountant can certify, why not company secretary institute can certify? They raised the objection. Even MCA called and asked us. Our president, no, we only prepared the reply and given to it. What is the objection if they are certifying? We said they are also equally like us. We are no way supreme to them before the eyes of law. But practical convenience is one question. If the institute want to verify the KYC norm of the certifying authority, here we prescribe the certifying authority is a practicing chartered accountant. If I want to verify the KYC norm of the certifying authority, ICA is having all the documents of the certifying authority. That is the chartered accountant, practicing chartered accountant. But if the person certifying is the cost accountant or company secretary, I don't have their detail. I have every time I have to write to the other institute, the process will become cumbersome. MCA said, absolutely, you are right. Your thought process is very, very clear. If the firm is going to be registered with their institute, let them say cost accountant can certify or company secretary can certify. When it is going to be registered with the ICI, let the chartered accountant certify. Your logic is totally, absolutely acceptable. So they given the clearance. And verification of partners, we very clearly said, not the partner who is a chartered accountant, the person who is other than a partner chartered accountant. Verify the degree. Multidisciplinary partnership practice, members of the professional body verify. Architect certificate, architect membership, cost accountant certificate, cost accountant membership. Here, social media, this is the 14th meeting I am addressing in the last 23 days. Today is my 14th meeting. Almost every region I addressed minimum 2 meetings. Here the members ask me a question. Majority of the meetings. Sir, if suppose chartered accountant is having disciplinary proceeding or company secretary having disciplinary case, cost accountant having disciplinary case, how to know that? I asked only one question. Forget about other partners. Today you are admitting a chartered accountant as a partner. Unless the person who is a chartered accountant come and tells you, there is a disciplinary case on me. As on date, we don't have any record to verify any disciplinary proceedings on a particular member, including institute website. We don't have a list of cases on the partners on whom the disciplinary cases are pending. Prima facie cases are accepted and cases are pending. We don't have the list. At least in High Court and Supreme Court, any case is there, we can go and verify if the petition is admitted. In ICAI, even the petition is admitted for guilty proceedings and prima facie opinion is taken, we don't have the list unless the chartered accountant say. So the same problem with the other institute also. You want to have a clean hand, take an affidavit from them. It is not prescribed in my guideline. It is a precaution you want to take. You take an affidavit from the particular person. There is no disciplinary proceeding pending from the cost accountant, company secretary, chartered accountant, actual architect. Other two professionals we are not going to admit now. So take it. No proceeding on me. Subsequently, if they suppress any information or facts, under their law, you can take disciplinary proceeding on them. Under their law, they can take disciplinary proceeding. This is one thing I would like to clarify on the disciplinary issues at the time of admission, it is pending. Secondly, some people asked, sir, tomorrow I am admitting a cost accountant or company secretary as a partner. They started demanding goodwill from me. What will happen? Sir, all these things, ICA cannot give all guidelines, sir. I am not, ICA, Institute of Chartered Accountants of India, or as a G Shekhar as a council member, I am not your partner. How to plan your partnership deed, it is your responsibility. Suppose you want to retain total control on your firm and total control on all your partners, provided your partners agree that, you can even have a clause. So and so is the managing partner or founder partner or leading partner, whatever the name you want to give. He is having right to admit, remove any partner by giving reasonable time of notice. If those person willingly sign, they are abide by the condition. You can write in your partnership deed, so and so only entitled for the goodwill of the firm. You can write in your partnership, so and so only entitled for the name of the firm. No other partner can demand the right in the name of the firm or goodwill of the firm. Or your condition, anybody willing to join, let them join. See, all these things, ICA is a regulatory body of the professional. ICA is not the helping you to carry on how to your practice, your partnership, your understanding, your admission. Sorry. These are the questions I'm seeing in social medias. Meaning of MDPCA in practice is same meaning as assigned in 198. Here some people ask me, how the MDP firm distinguished from normal chartered accountant firm? If you read section 7 of the Chartered Accountants Act, it says a chartered accountant individually in practice, then he will be designated as a chartered accountant. If it is a partnership firm, all the partners are in practice. All the partners are chartered accountant in practice. then it will be called so and so firm name chartered accountants. But council is having a power to give exception for using any other designation or name for an individual. Taking the same logic, council has decided in case to distinguish between normal firm and MDP firm, if it is an MDP firm, they will be called as MDP firm of chartered accountants. Even originally we thought of only MDP firm, MDP, but suppose it is registered with Casting Institute or Company Secretary Institute by them, how to distinguish? So we thought they will be called as MDP firm of chartered accountant. So the society know this is a MDP firm registered with the Institute of Chartered Accountants of India. Let them use MDP firm of cost accountants, MDP firm of company secretary, if anybody is registering with them. So we distinguished and we have given the name. Services rendered by this MDP firm practice, whatever permitted under section 2.2, read with its regulation 190A, for a normal firm, whatever it is permitted, they can be permitted. In addition to that, they can also render services allowed to be performed by other professionals who are in partners through that partners. Suppose you are taking a cost audit, you can do it. But only cost accountant can sign. You can help him to conduct the audit. But he has to sign. If suppose a company secretary, he can do secretarial audit and sign. You can help him for the audit. But he is the owner of responsibility. That is that. Companies Act. Very, very important. This is what the issue I have seen in various social media criticizing this MDP firm. A person shall be eligible for appointment of an auditor provided by a firm. They are very clearly giving majority of the partners practicing India are a qualified appointment, that is chartered accountants. In an MDP firm, majority of the partners are not CS, you cannot claim. But how to determine majority? Council started discussing. Nearly 1.5 to 2 hours discussion went on. Out of 40 council members, including government nominees. One group said majority shall be determined on the basis of share. Another group said, no, majority shall be determined on the basis of numbers. Third group said, no, it shall be decided on the basis of both. We analyzed. Partnership firm is a joint and several liability. In decision-making process, we are not going on the basis of share. Even a person who is 90% holding share in the partnership firm committed a default. The whole default will come to the partner who is who are enjoying 10% share because of joint and several liability. So ultimately, council decided majority criteria for the purpose of computing eligibility of MDP CAs in practice for the purpose of appointment of statutory auditor shall be calculated both on the basis of number of partners as well as their aggregate share of profits in MDP CAs, both in terms of numbers as well as on the basis of the share, both put together. So this criteria to be satisfied. Immediately in one of the meeting I addressed, somebody asked, sir, already tax audit, cost accountant want to do. GST audit, they taken share. Cooperative society audit, they are taking share. What, sir? If you are opening this tomorrow, government will open. I want to tell one important thing. Last almost 15 minutes, we are discussing various acts. What is the right of a chartered accountant in practice, cost accountant in practice, company secretary in practice? If you read section 2.2 of the Cost Accountants Act or Company Secretaries Act, in my humble, honest opinion, with great respect to the other two institutions, They can't do any document of financial nature. They are doctors, know the human anatomy, but they are not specialists in financial statements. If you read section 2.2 and section 2.2 of the Cost Accountants Act and Company Secretaries Act, they have not derived any power to sign any financial statements. If they are doing on their own risk of their disciplinary proceeding, as on date, even the day before yesterday, I spoken in Bangalore branch. I said very, very clearly on the same issue, Corporate Act. Even you went to the court, nowhere you are stressed about section 2.2. When they not derived any power to do a particular function, they should not exercise the power. As on date, cost accountant does not derive any power of signing any financial statements. Other law can give power. Other law can give power. Chartered Accountant Acts give power to enter into a partnership with advocate. Can I enter? Same thing. Other law can give power. Cooperative Society Act can give power. GST Act can give power. But the Parent Act does not giving power. One member asked, then what is the remedy? I simply asked, with a great respect to their profession, how many of us filed a disciplinary case against those people? Secondly, I never feel they are my competitors. They are my sister institution providing additional professional support for the profession. I know a point of time thought they can take my profession, what my institute has given to me with their knowledge, because I am the profession which has been taught. See why I am telling this. I came from a very humble background, humble family, even humble articleship. I am the first apprentice for my chartered accountant from a small town, very small town, place called Virudhunagar. But that town played a very bigger role in Indian politics. The person hailed from the town only appointed Indira Gandhi as the Prime Minister in 65. So from that town, even in that town today, only 18 chartered accountants are in practice. Why I am telling all this thing? I have a great faith on my profession. This profession taught me from the preparation of primary books of account, debit the receiver, credit the giver, then how to manage a company to be liquidated, insolvency professional. Everything has been taught. On every field, continuous education program has been given. On every field, update of knowledge has been given at my doorstep. If I feel only attest function is my function, then I can't do this profession. Attest function is only my function, I can't do this profession, because as on date, exactly around 13.5 lakhs companies, of which 2 lakh company only eligible to give CARO. 11.5 lakhs companies are small companies. If I evenly distribute the profession, per chartered accountant, not even 10 company audit. If I distribute tax audit, around 24 lakhs tax audit. If I prescribe 10 crore as a limit, tomorrow the government remove the 5% ceiling limit on cash transaction. 10 crore is the limit. What will happen? Less than 8 lakh cases are only tax audit. Less than 8 lakh cases are only tax audit. That means per chartered accountant only 6 cases. Only to 6 plus 14, 20 cases we learning this course. Sorry. We have been taught A to Z of the finance, accounts, tax, all areas of corporate law. Compare ICA syllabus with knowledge of training, knowledge of CPE program with all other professional institutions, including IMABs. The amount of knowledge given to us, extraordinary, unimaginable. But what is missing with us? The campus process of motivation. The premises process of motivation, 2 years premises process. That is missing. 3-year articleship is there, but there you are getting motivation depends upon your boss, not campus processed motivation. That's the only challenge. Otherwise, everything has been taught in the course. Secondly, even they cannot take tax audit. One more point, I would like to tell other profession, their Parent Act does not permit. The majority criteria also does not applicable for tax audit for a simple reason. Section 288 prescribed Section 139 of the Companies Act for qualification, not 141. The rest of the area, share of profits, administration, management, functional responsibility, all are mutually agreed. For this, ICA having no role. That is your choice. What is your share? What is your remuneration? Who is the managing partner? Who can do this, that? All these things are your choice. Your reconstitution, admission, retirement, death, change in share ratio, all you have to notify within 30 days. The regulation 190 will apply. Establishment of branch as on date, section 27 permits chartered accountant can in charge. But the same section have a proviso. The council in may suitable cases exempt. The council may in suitable cases exempt. A chartered accountant practice or a firm of chartered accountant operation of this section. So what council decided, in case of MDP firm, any MDP firm apply to the council, case to case basis, we can give exception, depends upon the firm. Or if the applications are coming in numbers, that point of time, we will define a policy. Till such time, let the existing rule continue. That is, branch shall be in charge by a chartered accountant. You want exception? Take a piece of paper in your letterhead, write to the council. Council is having power to liberalize the rule. Fees for professional services, regulation 192 will apply for this. Other business occupation, whatever permitted under regulation 190A, regulation shall apply, no change. Professional address, regulation 187 for what is applicable for normal firm will apply. Disciplinary proceeding. Any MDP partner commit a mistake, if he is a chartered accountant, CA Regulation Act will apply. Cost accountant, case will be referred to Cost Accountancy Institute. As per the regulation, if he is a company secretary, case will be referred to the Company Secretary Institute. If he is coming under Architect Institute. If he is an engineer, general law will apply. If he is an actuary, refer to the Actuaries Institute as per the act. We are not considering advocate because as on date, advocate is not there. So keeping all these point, council as wholesome consider. Here I'd like to answer only one or two questions before I'm seeing the question and answer session. In what way it is going to help small and medium practitioners? Dear member, every council member you elected, I may be elected from southern region. Our president may be elected from your region, Kabraji elected from your region. But when we sit in the council, we never think of our region. We think ICAI. We speak for ICAI, we breathe for ICAI, we work for ICAI. And in the interest of the members. So we analyzed, as on date, around 140,000 chartered accountants are in practice. 88,000 and odd firms are registered for MEF. Having 2 partner, 3 proprietor, 2 partner, 3 partner. Around 62,137 firms are individual, proprietor. Out of 88,301 firms, 62,137, nearly 70% are proprietary. Between 2 and 5 partner, 23,831, adding both together, around 66,000. That means above 5 partners, around 2,000 firms are only there in this country. So when we decided about MDP, the council asked me one question as a convener. Mr. G. Shekhar, explain to this council, I am an individual practicing, in what way this MDP helps me. I said, first I will explain what is your loss. Then I will explain what are the gains. Suppose I am an individual practicing chartered accountant. If I want to create an MDP firm, in my firm, I decided I don't want any other chartered accountant. What is my loss? Only loss is I cannot sign statutory audit of a company. Only loss is I cannot sign a statutory audit of a company. I can be an internal auditor. I can be a concurrent auditor. I can do cooperative society audit. I can do tax audit. I can do cost audit. I can do secretarial audit, because cost auditors, there is no condition majority of the auditors are cost accountants. In Secretarial Audit Companies Act, nowhere prescribed majority shall be the company secretary. Advantage. My firm can do more than that. Forget about cost accountant and company secretary. If I am intelligent, prudent enough, I can take an engineer who is a valuer holding effective valuation license under Companies Act and other law like income tax and wealth tax, approved valuer. For every loan in this country, from a small housing loan of 10 lakhs, every working capital facility, without an approved valuer certificate for any immovable property, no loan is released by any person. Whether it is an NBFC or scheduled bank or nationalized bank or cooperative bank. Suppose I am keeping them as my partner. Even today, I can keep him outside and share the fees. But suppose I want to have a control over him. I can get profession through my contacts, give it to him, ask him to do the job, take a share. Possible? Growth is possible for English proprietor. Then I started when next step. See, 23,000 partners are 2 to 5. Let me assume 5 partner firm. It is only a small primary and medium practicing firm. 5 chartered accountant firm, admitting other 4 professional, cost accountant, company secretary, architect, engineer. Wonders I can do. Wonders. I can be a statutory auditor, fulfilling the condition of both in terms of number and share. 51% share, 5 partners, chartered accountant, any statutory audit I can take. 141 conditions satisfied. Tax audit there, internal audit there, concurrent audit there, cooperative society audit there, all audit there. Wherever I can't do statutory audit, I can do cost audit. Because statutory auditor cannot be a cost auditor cannot be a statutory auditor. Those audit I can do. Secretarial audit, any company I can do, because there is no such a condition. A statutory auditor firm should not do secretarial audit. There is no such a prohibition in Companies Act. I can do. Parent Act not prohibited. Suppose I am having an insolvency professional as a partner, a valuer as a partner of a chartered accountant. My valuer partner, chartered accountant, do financial instrument. My engineer chartered partner can do all other valuation. For my insolvency profession, if I am doing the job, my engineering professional can support me. My cost accountant professional can support me for valuing the cost of those items. My secretarial practicing professional can support me on all the secretarial jobs. Excellent combination. Don't think that it is going to only helpful for the big people. We have analyzed. The group has discussed almost invested nearly a week time fully. Analyze. If the chartered accountants use their intelligence, how to encash this opportunity, it is a big boom for the profession. Big boom. So I am able to see some questions here. Any ratio of profit sharing regulated? Sir, we are not regulating any profit share. Sir, whatever MDP, UDIN, whether to be generated, sir, whatever applicable for a practicing chartered accountant's firm applicable for this. Even a company secretary partner certifying a report as a secretary permitted. He cannot sign audit report. He can sign secretarial report. He has to generate the UDIN given by the ICAI because the UDIN is permitted only here. So UDIN is all will apply. Somebody asked me a question. 8 company secretary admitting 1 chartered accountant as a partner. 8 company secretary admitting 1 chartered accountant as a partner. I said maximum they can do 20 company audit. They can do that 60 tax audit. Sir, they will come for MEF. They can come for MEF. But institute will not give quite. We will tell other than chartered accountant partners is there how many marks to be given. That is, once this firm is open, that are further steps how to give marks for the firm, marks for other professionals, for valuing the firms. But ultimately, I want to say only one thing. When I was the PDC committee chairman during Nilesh Vikamsi sir period, during the years 17, 18, I was coordinating with RBI. Even I addressed a meeting at that point of time with Central Statutory Auditors of the bank. If anybody is here, they can remember what I addressed. The bank audit is going to be reduced to 25%, not reduced by 25% over a period of time of 10 years. Already it happened in Central Statutory Audit. 27 nationalized banks to now 12. Branch audit, even today, note down somewhere. So our scope of learning is not attestation function alone. Our scope of learning is provide the business community in the period in the area whatever we learn, total business solution provide. That is what we have to think of. Not only attestation function. It is one more power given to us as per the law. And one Mr. Vipul Kumar asked a question. If a firm is constituted with CA, actually I already explained. If he's holding certificate of practice, you cannot admit him because their act prohibit. Cost and seal. Now all faculties providing services a company with respect to audit, tax, actuary, cost and other secretarial matters. Now question arises whether channel 1 audit and channel 2 other than audit service allowed to be provided by constituted firm. Yes, sir. Whatever permitted under other regulation also the firm can do, but chartered accountant cannot do. Actuaries can do. Whatever permitted for actuaries, the actuary partner can do. Whatever permitted for cost accountant, the cost accountant partner can do. Because their section 2.2 permits, he can do. The secretary, company secretary section 2.2 permits, he can do. Actuary section 2.2 permits, he can do. But problem is, actuary section 2.2 does not permit to enter into practice with others. Already we returned to the government we are taking steps, spoken to MCA. Unofficially, they have to open actuaries. But opening the law, you know that how tough it is, because when National Tax Tribunal came, how we lost the case in the Supreme Court. When the National Tax Tribunal notified in 2006, case went to the Supreme Court. Supreme Court said it is ultra-wise, the whole act is ultra-wise, contrary. But in my honest and humble opinion, the person who permitted to argue the case inside the court with the greatest respect to my judiciary, with the greatest respect to my judicial heads of Supreme Court, in my opinion, I can't accept the judgment of Supreme Court in National Tax Tribunal cases. With a humble manner, with a folded hands, I'm saying, the person who permitted to argue the case are only your professionals. The person here, the case are only your professional. Arguing persons are interested in the case. judging persons are interested in the issue, how can that judgment can be accepted as a honest citizen of this country? I'm asking, not as a honest professional. So I can't accept as a honest citizen of this country the judgment given by the Supreme Court in the National Tax Tribunal case. So they are very stronger profession politically. So whether they will amend the regulations or rules, I don't know. But we can request. Actuaries law can be amended. Certainly it will be amended in a course of time. But MCA very clearly tell, when they are discussing with immediate past present, I was also there in the meeting. ICA should be a front runner. Are you willing to be a front runner? We said yes. We opened the gate and it is beneficial for our members. Somebody asked it, how it is going to helpful for a small area, small professional, where only 10 chartered accountants. Sir, in that area, banks are there. You can take an engineer as a partner. Joint sector manner, you can do so many wonders. Forget about only valuation. If you are taking a software consultant, engineers who know how to write software programs, engineers who know how to cyber security programs, taking them, take it to your client, provide all the services to your client. So it is a departmental store. It is like an Amazon platform. Like an Amazon platform. How we are going to use it, it is our intelligence. Nowhere CA Act prohibits. Chartered accountant, what they can do, only we are having regulation. If I am admitting a cost accountant, their regulation, whatever permit they can do. Company secretary, their regulation, whatever they permit, they can do. Actuary, whatever they permitted tomorrow. Engineer, whatever they permitted. As long as whatever the permitted is not contravening the provisions of their laws, not contravening the provisions of the laws of this country, we can do it. So I would like to share, let us don't forget the words of Swami Vivekananda. Never lose faith in yourself. You can do anything in the universe. Awake, arise, achieve all the best for you. I thank the committee members of this study circle. Gave me a great opportunity to interact with me. Any specific question, I am willing to answer. One more question from Umesh Kin has come. Can you please explain guideline in respect of person holding certificate of practice but not full-time practice if he is eligible to form MDP? Sir, institute is concerned only if you are having full-time practice, you can do attest function. Even somebody asked one step further. Sir, regulation 50, my Chartered Accountant Act permits I can enter into a partnership with a chartered accountant holding certificate of practice. But my MDP regulation permits member of the costing institute, member of the company secretary institute. Member means holding certificate of practice or not holding certificate of practice. Both are members. With them not holding certificate of practice, also I can enter into a partnership. Why not with a chartered accountant? Sir, section 2.2 of all the three acts. Only if you hold the certificate of practice, you can do attest function. That also full-time certificate of practice. Otherwise, you can keep as an employee. Why you are taking decision-making process? Why you are giving share? You can keep them outside. If he is not holding attest function right. If they are not holding attesting function, what way they are going to be benefit? Unless really they are going to bring big business for you. Keep them outside under regulation 53A. Share the fees with them. Share the fees with them loyally. Take the share from their fees under regulation 53A, clause 3, permitted. No problem. It is your choice. Thank you, sir. Thank you, everyone, for giving me a great opportunity. Any more questions from the viewers? I am willing to answer. Some things are in chat box also. Chat box, nothing is there.
Nothing is there. Thanks a lot, sir, for a detailed presentation on the subject that itself shows hardly 2 or 3 questions have been asked, and you have covered almost all the questions. That itself shows how much in-depth knowledge and how much work you have done for this, our profession. Now I'll request our past convener, CA Vijay Jam, to offer a well-deserved vote of thanks to Mr. Sekhar. Vijay,
Thank you,
please.
sir. It's my pleasant task to propose a well-deserved vote of thanks to our speaker, G. Shekhar Ji from Virudunagar, near to my native place only. Sir, you have dealt this topic in a most efficient and effective manner. You have solved all the concerns. What has come to the mind of the members, like what will happen if there is a potential conflict of interest, who will have the last word, how long this MDP will go, etc. Sir, you have also explained the various clauses like 2, 3, 4 of Part 1, Schedule 1 of the CA Act. You have done a comparative analysis with respect to the provision which is prevalent under the CA, ICWA, and other similar institutes, whether we can go with them or not go with them. You have also explained us how to register with the institute, what are the KYC norms which we have to follow, what are the services to be rendered by MDP and also by CA in practice, and various other provisions relating to this new concept. Sir, we are indeed thankful to you for accepting our invitation. Your presentation was very excellent, and you have spent very valuable time so that we can enrich our knowledge. Now, on behalf of Borivali Central CP Study Circle, I propose a well-deserved vote of thanks and request all the members to carry out with a virtual applause. Thank you, sir.
Thank you, sir. Thank you.
Thank you. Thanks a lot, sir.
Thank you.
That's very
Thank you very
Thank you,
much,
sir.
sir.
Vijay Kumar from which place? Near Virudunagar?
Tirunelveli.
Tirunelveli, okay. Okay.
Sir,